I want to give you some food for thought now about how many women went to the tomb of Jesus to anoint his body, and why did they decide to go there, and some what I consider to be contradictions and inconsistencies and logical contradictions. Now, apparently, the four Gospels differ, all of them, in the number of people who went there and number of women that went there. And Christian apologists themselves admit that there are various confusions as to understanding the identity and role of Jesus' female disciples, especially with respect to the discovery of the empty tomb and their eyewitnesses' testimony to the risen Christ. And they, the apologists, admit that there are a number of things about the narrative of the women that can be perplexing when we seek to harmonize their actions across the four accounts. The sheer number of Marys sometimes adds to the confusions, say they. And it even can be difficult to untangle the Greek grammar. Now, leaving aside the fact that the four Gospels were written in very high level of Greek language, which none of the Jesus' disciples spoke nor understood, and therefore none of the Gospels are considered by scholars to be written by the people that it is claimed to have written these Gospels, because they were simple, uneducated people and could not have written the Gospels in Greek language. That's as if some Englishman, I don't know, maybe French person, starts writing Gospels in Cambodian or Japanese and utilizes very high level of, or Thai, and utilizes a very high level of this language. It's impossible. So, leaving this aside, I want to ask this question. What normal person would go to remove a tombstone in order to anoint somebody's dead and decaying body? Now, you have to be totally out of your mind in order to do that. I mean, imagine you getting up in the morning and going to the cemetery and removing a tombstone and digging out the body and trying to anoint the body. This sounds absolutely wacko to me. But the second question is, how did the women plan to remove this tombstone? Because the tombstone weighed anywhere between 2 and 4 tons. So it will be impossible for 2 or 3 women, absolutely impossible, to remove that tombstone in the first place. So it logically follows that they somehow knew or were expecting that the tombstone will be removed, or that they will be able to remove that tombstone, as it is evident from the accounts of the Gospels that they at that moment did not believe in the resurrection of Christ, nor did they believe that he had risen or resurrected. They were just going there to anoint his dead and decaying body. So they could not have known that the tombstone will be removed to make way for them to anoint the body. Now, I remember my grandfather had a flour mill, and in a flour mill that was back in the beginning of the century, in 20s and 30s and 40s. And I remember seeing that there were two flour mill stones inside the flour mill that were grinding the flour. And they weighed anywhere, I don't know, maybe between 3 and 5 tons each. And they were about, I would say, 1 meter, 20 centimeters in diameter, not more. Let's say meter 50 centimeters in diameter, which is not that much, but let's suppose. Now this tombstone is much bigger, at least I would say 3-4 yards in length. You would need 15, 20, 30 people at least to be able to remove that tombstone, and men, not women. So I have no idea how these women were expecting to remove that tombstone. Thank you very much for watching, and I will appreciate your comments on that issue.